Recording in progress.
Can we start with housekeeping comments, please?
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Si asiste en persona, favor de no conectarse a la conferencia telefónica o Zoom mientras esté en el auditorio y silencie sus dispositivos. Si traducción es disponible, haga clic en el icono de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla para seleccionar inglés o español. Se tomarán comentarios del público después de cada punto. Si se encuentra en el auditorio y desea dar comentario, utilice los iPads ubicados en el vestíbulo o complete una tarjeta azul según esté disponible. Si necesita ayuda, localice a un empleado de South Coast AQMD. Los comentarios pueden ser limitados a un total de 3 minutos o menos para todos los puntos de la agenda. El tiempo límite puede ser reducido para que todos los comentarios puedan ser escuchados. Se mostrará un temporizador de cuenta regresiva en la pantalla para cada comentario público. Se asignará más tiempo para traducción al español si no es simultáneo. Si tiene preguntas o problemas sobre cómo hacer un comentario público, llame al asesor público al 909-396-2432. 909-396-2432. Respete el tiempo límite y favor de tratar a los demás con cortesía, civilidad y respeto. De lo contrario, es posible que se silencie el micrófono o que sea retirado de la reunión. Tenga en cuenta que esta reunión está siendo grabada. Al participar, usted autoriza la grabación de audio y contenido visual presentado durante el evento en vivo y da su consentimiento para el uso de la grabación en el dominio público por parte de South Coast AQMD.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Friday, January 9th, 2026 meeting of the Governing Board of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. I'd like to ask the Mayor Pro Tem of Highland, Larry McCallan, to lead us in the pledge.
Thank you. Please join me as we salute the flag that represents our republic. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Faye, would you like to do a roll call?
Mayor Locke Dawson? Here. Supervisor Hagman? Mayor Pro Tem McCallan?
Here.
Supervisor Mitchell is absent. Supervisor Nguyen? Vice Mayor Olmos? Here. Board Member Padilla Campos? Here. Supervisor Perez?
Here.
Councilmember Rahman is absent. Mayor Rodriguez?
Here.
Vice Chair Cacchiotti?
Here.
And Chair Delgado?
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. For opening comments, I'm going to save my comments for a little bit, but I'll start with Wayne.
Thanks, Chair. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
So I have a few suggested items in front of you. You should have a paper that has some suggested edits with regards to item number 3 for the board member assistant and consultant administrative policy. We do have a correction. We're recommending that we clarify the board member assistant or consultant so they can be either a South Coast AQMD contract employee or employee of an entity with which the district contracts. So that's one item. The second item is really more informational. Earlier this week, we had a chance to meet with the acting regional administrator in Region 9 up in San Francisco. I will say that it was a spectacular meeting. It was very well intentioned. And I would say that we had a really good discussion in terms of what this administration wants to do and how it wants to work with us. And I'll share more about that later. But I thought it was a very good meeting. We were also really just trying to sort of lay out some of the issues for the coming year. So we'll talk more about that. Also, just want to provide a brief update on the Invest Clean. On December 16th, the program announcement closed for 4 project categories under Invest Clean. The total funding available is about $420 million, and we received applications for over $650 million. And the preliminary projects are 303 Class 8 battery electric heavy-duty trucks, 46 heavy-duty vehicle charging, 145 pieces of cargo handling equipment, and 54 battery switcher locomotives. We'll be conducting evaluations and making those awards in the coming weeks. And that concludes my comments for today.
Thank you. Board members, any comments?
Just a couple things. One, I'm really happy to announce that the city of Riverside is off coal completely. We are at 70% renewables in our portfolio, which is pretty cool. We just had the last coal plant go offline for us in our energy. So, and then also we just signed an MOU with a electric vehicle charging company called Chevy, CHAEVI, which is the second largest electric vehicle charging company in Korea. And they are moving their manufacturing to Riverside. So they're going to, we've agreed to purchase some of their equipment and deploy it at our airport. But the cool thing about them is what they say is their stuff doesn't break down like a lot of the other chargers do. So that's what's been promised to us. But so that makes 7 new green and clean manufacturers who have moved to Riverside within the past 2 years. So we've been doing all right. So anyway, thank you.
Congratulations. Supervisor Perez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just try to be as brief as possible. If you come down to the valley, especially during these months, it's beautiful. It's sunny. You see the mountains, obviously the desert landscaping. But every once in a while, you have some sandstorms, like last night. And you have these storms that just kind of show up all of a sudden. And we have to be extra careful when we're driving or when we're outside because we don't exactly know, at least what's being said, what we're breathing, according to some people back home. Although that being the case, the wind season will be coming up very soon, specifically in April, sometimes in May. And that's when I invite AQMD to come down, besides the beautiful time like now. Because then you'll be able to see it for yourselves, what we've been talking about. Now, we've had a couple of dust summits, or we had a dust summit, and we've had quite a bit of discussions back home on the issue. And, more and more folks are speaking to the issue, and more folks are concerned about the issue, regardless if they have data backing them up or not. And this is where I think AQMD can be very helpful on one front, is really identifying what the data says when it comes to respiratory illness. Some people like to throw it out there that some doctors are saying that the dust is causing respiratory illness, and then others are saying that that's not necessarily true. Well, let's figure that out. Let's get down to the bottom of it. I don't know if we have to do a study. I'm not sure we have to work with public health for the county of Riverside or Cal EPA or CARB, but I think it's important that we try to figure that out because people are wondering. The sooner we do that, the sooner we're able to demystify, if you will, the concerns around dust in the area, in which people like to tie it, and they, rightly so, to the economy, obviously the environment, public health, so on and so forth. I will say, though, I want to thank our staff. And even though our staff is limited, meaning not in skill set or expertise and wherewithal, knowledge, bodies, and that's because of lack of resources. But nonetheless, though, they are everywhere. They try to be everywhere, whether that be in the Coachella Valley or that be in any one of our counties, cities that we up here represent. It's a big area. And unfortunately, the state of California does not recognize that when it should. I think that unfunded mandates, although I used to be a state legislator, we need to push back whenever we can in order for us to get our fair share. And there's nothing wrong with being aggressive. And I think it's important that we have consistent, continuous conversations with legislators, not necessarily in Sacramento, because they tend to forget by the time the end of the day comes around who they met with, but in their offices. For me, it was much more powerful, meaningful. I would remember at least what I had a conversation, who I had a conversation with, and what about, even if that meeting was at 9 a.m. and it was already going to be 5 o'clock. If you asked me that same question and I was in Sacramento, it would be a tough time for me to try to figure that one out. So let's try to, as we move forward in 2026, I'm going to continue to ask for support and help by AQMD staff as well as my colleagues up here in the dais to do what we can to deal with the issues of dust. Let's get that study. Let's get that information. Let's really demystify potentially what's being said, use facts, data that are real. And let's be aggressive with our stance, whatever that may be, and especially when it comes to funding. And let's do that with the Inland Empire Caucus. And when need be, whenever there's an opportunity, let's do that with the governor's office. Thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I had to say for it right now.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy New Year to everybody. Just real quick on our end, from the Orange County side, I know I sound like a broken record on the essential public service destination, but we're losing time. We want these reductions, and it can happen. And I appreciate Wayne and staff. We now do have a scheduled meeting with all the stakeholder, but I think it's best if you haven't seen or truly understand the issue that we're facing in Orange County, it's going to start hitting all the other counties as well. We, Mayor Carlos Rodriguez and I would like to invite you on a tour. Board members, you yourself or your assistant, and Wayne and staff, we would like to invite you on a tour to our landfill, the Bee Canyon Greenery at the Frank Bowerman Landfill in Irvine on January 28 at 11 a.m. To see our facilities, to see what our issue is and why I keep on bringing it up every meeting for the last few months now. We would appreciate just a little bit of your time. If you can't make it on that date, we will arrange for a different meeting, a different tour just for you. Whatever date and time you need, we will make it happen, because this is very important to us in Orange County. And so again, January 28, 11 o'clock, touring the Frank Bowerman Landfill in Irvine. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mayor Rodriguez?
Chair, I just wanted to note that for that meeting, we'll need to coordinate with any board members who might be interested in attending, just to make sure we don't have any Brown Act issues.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't think about that.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Happy New Year to everyone. Wanted to just say how excited I am to work with you all this year. Thanks in advance to staff for your continued dedication and hard work. Bay, thanks for making sure we stay out of trouble. That was a very good comment there, and just want to echo the sentiments of the supervisor. Would hope that you can make the time to come out to Irvine. It is an important priority for the County of Orange and the Orange County cities. So if we have to make arrangements so we can avoid any quorum issues, we'll do that, and would be happy to schedule at times of your convenience for the tour. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised from board members. So we'll go right into the swearing in, if that's okay. Yep. Okay, so we have a swearing in of board members Brenda Olmos and Veronica Padilla Campos for their reappointment. We're going to do this at the same time. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right, I'll share your microphone.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I,
During such, and state your name,
Brenda
I,
Olmos,
Veronica Padilla Campos,
during such times as I hold the above office,
during such times as I
during such
hold the
times
above
as I hold the
office,
above office,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will
that I
bear
will
true
bear
faith and
true faith and
allegiance
allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what's been these for you
I know.
Wow.
Have to memorize it.
If only I would have thought about that.
I don't know.
Board Member Padilla Campos, would you like to say anything?
Sure, thank you. Just wanted to thank the speaker who appointed me, and just it's been great serving 5 years, and I'm looking forward to the next 5. It hasn't always been super easy, but it's been an honor and a privilege to be able to serve and represent communities and be able to be a voice. I always think this, I come every day, or not every day, but I come to the meetings not as any personal gain, but really to give voices for those that aren't able to. So this is a true honor, and just thankful and looking forward again for this new year to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Padilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I definitely want to say a few words. Definitely want to thank the Western Cities for the opportunity to come back and serve you all. I think that those 8 months that I was here was like a trial period for me, I think, to come back and kind of understand and get my feet wet with AQMD, and I came back. So that means that's a positive thing. Again, I just want to thank the cities, want to thank my assistant who's been amazing to me, and really thank the staff. I know I've kind of just jumped in, and I think there's a lot of education that needs to be done on the Western Cities, and I just appreciate the support that you guys have given me. So just excited to work with you all, and let's get to work.
Sounds great. All right, so now we come to the election of chair for the next term, 2026 to 2028. And again, I'm going to reserve my comments till after we do for whatever I'd like to say to the incoming chair till we're done with the voting. So for the chair, I would like to nominate the vice chair, to serve. I think he is Mr. AQMD. He embodies all of our values, and I think that he would make a wonderful leader to continue the work that we've been doing. So,
I second that, Madam Chair.
all right, do we take a vote on that then, on that motion? Okay. All right, so let's take a vote on that motion. All right, that was easy. Congratulations. Is there anything you'd like to say now?
This is your day.
Okay, all right. I will finish this meeting today, and the incoming chair will take over next month. And that takes us to the election of vice chair. So I don't know, Chair, if you,
You continue.
oh, okay, I don't know if there's any nominations, anybody who's interested in
Well, I'd
serving?
like to nominate Mr. Larry McClellan to be the vice chair.
I'll say.
There was 2 seconds?
Second.
Got it first.
Okay, all right. Let's vote on that motion. Another amazing
There you go.
vote. Congratulations to you both. I'm excited for the work that you'll do. Would you like to say anything?
It's your day.
Okay. So, I think that over the holidays, we all reflect on the year that's passed. And I was thinking a lot about this, my last meeting as chair, and the pre-2026 version of me really wanted to take out my old goals and, the ones that I set out to achieve and measure how much of them I achieved and kind of grade myself, right? So that was the pre-2026 version of me. But I think what really stands out for me about my time as chair is actually the people, the leadership that I saw from so many different people, from our board members here who come from very different places, but put those differences aside to be congenial and to work on the most progressive policies anywhere in the nation for the environment. And, the environmental community who comes out with the best of intentions of trying to advance things that they believe in, the community members who take of their personal time, the business community who comes out, especially the small business community, who is really just trying to get by and kind of work through the myriad of California regulations. So I really appreciate their sharing of their voice, all the local leaders and our staff. I can't say that I can yet call you a personal friend for all of you, but I really do feel that that's what I've developed and that trust. I thank you for your hard work and know that I did still measure my goals and whether or not I achieved them, and we got really, really far along. And I know that would not have been possible without your hard work. But there are many more goals to achieve for the incoming chair and vice chair, and I cannot wait. I am full of hope of what we can achieve, and I can't wait to sit here with you and do that work. So thank you for the opportunity. Okay, Mayor Lock-Dawson.
I just want to thank you, Chair Delgado. I want to congratulate our incoming chair and vice chair, but I want to thank you for your help in bringing me on board. And just to say a few things about you, you are kind, you're gracious, you're smart, you're supportive, and the residents of the South Coast AQMD are in a much better hands because of your leadership on the board here this year. So I just want to thank you and thanks for your service.
Supervisor Perez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We've had some great chairmanships throughout the history, the course of AQMD. And I would state out loud as well that you fit along those lines and even more so. When I found out by some folks, and including yourself, that you wanted to be the chairwoman for AQMD. I was so proud of you. I was just ecstatic about the fact that you would be the first Latina in the history of AQMD to chair this organization and to advance it and move it forward. You were the right person for the job, and obviously we have to move on, move forward. But the fact is that you came already with many qualities that were needed, and that will continue to be needed as we move forward. You heard some of that already by my colleague. But the compassion for the gente, for the people that many times are unheard, I see it in you. The patience that you also have when people feel that they're not being heard and you give them maybe an extra minute to speak up, to say their piece. Not everybody has that. After a while, you get jaded. But you still continue to appreciate what people have to say. The fact that you're willing to be a collaborative member of this dais and cooperate with every single one of us, one way or another, coordinate one way or another, hear us out, and try to advance the efforts through our staff, I think has gone a long way. And if you wanted to measure success, if you will, as you stated earlier, these are all concepts in which, in my book, you got 150%. Now, when it came down to the environmental community versus the business community, you always attempted to have that balance. And that's a good thing. In any organization, it took me a while to figure that one out, especially when I was in the legislature. I see it now more than ever before. You know, how do we ensure that the environment is taken care of at the same time we build an economy for the future? And that's what you try to do. So I just want to say muchas gracias. Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you, for you, in the sense of you being the chairwoman. I look forward to that consistent work moving forward as well. And, you know, leadership is tough, man. The fact that you were willing to step in, wanting to take on the role, says a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Rodriguez.
Well, just wanted to add to the thanks and also express a congratulations to our incoming chair and vice chair. But just adding to the list that Mayor Lock-Dawson was having of describing you, I would say thoughtful, bold, showing courage, leadership. You're a consensus builder. Really appreciate that about you. Being approachable. That isn't always the case as we are out and about and we see folks in leadership, but you've always been approachable, gracious, and patient as well. Certainly historic in your tenure to see the policies we've worked through together. Some of the most important work, arguably, in recent history of AQMD. So congratulations on helping us navigate through those sometimes difficult waters. And then, of course, historic, as mentioned by the supervisor, as far as being the first Latina to serve in this esteemed position. And you set a bar for across the board. So I think there'll be a lot of leaders in the future that'll look at your impact, and also just as far as young Latinas to be able to aspire to saying, hey, look what can be done. And I know that we do speak about that at the dinner table with my daughter as well. So congratulations. You've left an indelible mark here, and I'm looking forward to rolling up my sleeves and continuing to work with you. I'm a better policymaker having served alongside you. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Board Member Padilla Campos.
Thank you. I didn't want to go today without saying muchas gracias for everything. I know you didn't take the position because it was simple or convenient. You did it because you cared and because we needed your leadership. And my first 5 years here, I was under your leadership, and it was just such a pleasure and really a role model to see you lead us in the way that you did. So thank you very much. And it's not goodbye, right? You're still on the board, and I am so much, very, very much looking forward to working with you some more on some really great issues. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Supervisor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, let me apologize to my colleagues for being late. If I can be added to the role in support of our new chair and vice chair, I'd like to add that. Madam Chair, thank you very much for your leadership. Happy New Year to everyone. I just also wanted to say that I was very sorry to miss the tribute to Jesse Marquez, a tireless and fire-filled and tireless advocate from Wilmington. Wanted you all to know that we, the LA Board of Supervisors, adjourned in his memory about the 3rd or 4th week of November, shortly after his passing. But again, when I look at what's happening to the EPA at the federal government, to our new leadership, I know we are going to have, as my grandfather would say, a tough row to hoe as the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And I have been reappointed, at least for this year, by our new incoming chair, Supervisor Solis. So I will continue to show up and show out when necessary to fight for improved air quality for the constituents I represent. And so I look forward to our new leadership, and thank you again.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Olmos.
Yeah, Vanessa, again, I think Mayor Rodriguez said a lot of things that I wanted to say, but I just want to say thank you for always being that mentor. Again, they talked about Latinas being mentors for each other. I mean, I've seen you in the Senate, and then I've seen you take this position here at AQMD, and I was like, you know, Vanessa, you're one of a kind. And I think a lot of people said that heart, that kindness, that loyalty you have to your projects, it's just amazing. And I see you at your day-to-day job as well, of how much you love what you do. So thank you for being that friend to me. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you more as well.
Thank you. Supervisor Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to first congratulate the new chair and vice chair. Looking forward to the next couple of years with you. Hopefully that I also will get reappointed next week or two, or sometime this month at once we get our chairship appointment at the county. So looking forward to that. And to Madam Chair, appreciate you. We worked together very short time at the State Senate. You know, I was very excited to come here and saw that you were the chair. And, you know, thank you. I mean, everything else has already been said. I don't want to, you know, have to be repetitive, but want to just, you know, again, thank you for reaching out and for just constantly saying, what do you need? How can I help? What do you need? How can I help? That means a lot. You know, being the new kid on the block at the time and never got involved in AQMD issues previously. And so I really appreciate your patience and, you know, your heart and just everything that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, I just want to say it's really been an incredible pleasure to work with you as your colleague. And as vice chair, as you know, sometimes the chair and vice chair gets put to the side, but you've always incorporated me into the meetings, shared with me, allowed me to participate, and I really appreciate that. And I share all my colleagues' thoughts and comments. And just following up on what Manny said about the history of AQMD, I've been fortunate to be here with Larry and others here now nearly 20 years. Wow. And I've seen what a legacy. You're part of that legacy of Bill Burke to Ben Benoit to now Vanessa Delgado. Hopefully others, we can follow you. But just the legacy you've left here with our leadership, our staff is unbelievable. The efforts, what our whole mission is to protect the people, to improve, reduce air pollution. And I think Manny, but everybody talked about the qualities you exhibit. The most important to me is, and I want to say this because this is when I taught high school, I always had to define this for the students. this quality, because it's thrown around a lot, but it's taken from the parable of the Good Samaritan, and it's compassion. And compassion is defined as an understanding of the pain and suffering that people go through, experiencing pollution, but at the same time, not just feeling that, but an interest in doing something to alleviate their pain and suffering. And you exhibit that incredibly. Thank you.
Thank you. Totally humbled. I'm like as red as my thing, but we'll keep going. Mayor Pro Tem McCallum.
Thank you very much. There's nothing I can add to what's already been said eloquently by other people, and I just wanted to say I appreciate all of the leadership you've provided to this organization, and I look forward to continuing that relationship as the vice chair, and I appreciate my colleagues' confidence in me and appoint me to that. But I really, nothing I can add that hasn't already been said, but know that we all love you, and we look forward to another great year with you on this board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that's all the hands I see raised. Again, I'm sorry, Supervisor Hagman.
I don't want to be left out. I just want to say, I think all of us has been in those leadership positions, and the most excitement is the day you get appointed, so congratulations. And also the day you step down is also bittersweet. And but just know that your great work and your leadership roles will still go, even though you don't have the title on this board, as we go forward, and we're all looking forward to working with each other as you get appointed back and forth this next year. And thank you for your service.
Well, once a Madam Chair, always a Madam Chair.
Thank you, everybody. I truly am just deeply touched by your comments and this whole experience. So thank you, everybody. All right, we have a meeting to get through. So with that, I'll take us into general public comments, and these are comments for items that are not on the agenda. We have several speakers who've signed up here. We have 5 speakers who are here in person. We're going to start with Jennifer de Tejada. And I don't think we have any time limitations today, so welcome.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer de Tejada. I'm new to the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice, but I'm not new to community organizing and environmental justice work. And I'm proud to be part of the SoCal Clean Manufacturing Coalition. And I just wanted to take a moment to congratulate board members Padilla Campos and Olmos on their reappointments. And I'm looking forward to working together to advance strong environmental protections for our communities. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Mandira from the Sierra Club.
Thank you so much. Good morning. My name is Mandira. I am a organizer with Sierra Club's Clean Heat Campaign. And also, we are also members of SoCal Clean Manufacturing Coalition. I'm here today to congratulate board members Padilla Campos and Olmos on their reappointment, and the board members Kachiari and McAllen on their elevation as chair and vice chair. Your years of service and dedication to our community has not gone unnoticed. Thank you for once again committing to clean up our air and the air of our communities breathe. We are truly excited to see how your continued leadership will bring meaningful change for nearly 17 million residents across our region. So SoCal Clean Manufacturing Coalition is excited to work with you all on advancing zero emission transition. Together, our coalition representing community members across the region from Riverside to Los Angeles to San Bernardino to Orange County. This board has an excellent opportunity this year to achieve much needed NOx emission reductions, especially with rules like 1146 and 1146.1. So these rules are critical for improving the air quality of communities. Also, we are grateful for staff's diligent work and looking forward to these rules being brought to the board later this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Adrian Martinez, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Adrian Martinez, and I'm here on behalf of Earth Justice. First of all, I want to thank all the board members. I know service on this board is not for the faint of heart. It's complicated, it's time consuming, and requires a commitment to public health. So I really appreciate all the work you've done. I've monitored this agency for close to 24 years now. I think I was at Board Member Cacciati's first meeting, Board Member McAllen's first meeting. So I really congratulate you two on being elevated to this new position, and I look forward to working with you in the new year. I want to congratulate Board Member Olmos and Padilla Campos for being reappointed. These are important constituencies you represent, and I look forward to continue work. And then I finally want to thank Chair Delgado for her work over the years. It's been a pleasure to engage and work with you. I think there's a lot of important work that's been done. 2025 was just a hard year. We had devastating fires. We lost some of our key public health advocates like Jesse, and we had over 100 days of dirty air. So I'm optimistic for 2026. As Supervisor Perez mentioned, I look forward to getting together with the agency and working to get more money for the South Coast Air Basin so residents can get heat pumps, so we can get zero emission trucks on the roads, so we can do the work that needs to be done to make sure we have zero dirty air days in the summer. And then I look forward to working with all of you to pass important regulations. We still have a lot of work to do to implement the 2022 Air Quality Management Plan. As you know, it's an ambitious plan. There's a lot to do, and we've got a lot of rules to pass. So we're very much committed to working with all of you to get some rules passed this year that will tackle these important sources. And I look forward to continue work with staff. I really appreciate all the work that staff did last year and over the years. It's just incredible to hear that we have $500 million in the Invest Clean and over $600 million in applicants. Let's make sure we can get all that money out there and get more money so that we can get to zero emissions. So here's to a great 2026, and thank you all.
Thank you. Thomas Jelinek.
Good morning and Happy New Year, Chair Delgado and board members. My name is Thomas Jelinich. I'm with the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association, as I think all of you already know, representing the marine terminal operators and ocean carriers in the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. I'd like to start by thanking Chair Delgado for her leadership. It was your leadership and the leadership of your colleagues that brought forward the cooperative agreement and made that successful. 2025 was remarkable. There was a lot of emotions and a lot of hard work that went into bringing the cooperative agreement forward. Your leadership secured that, and thank you so much for that. I'd also like to congratulate the new incoming chair, Cacciati, and Vice Chair McAllen, to being elected to lead the board in the coming year, as well as the reappointments of board members Padilla Campos and Olmos. We look forward to working with this entire board for the work that we have ahead of us. All of you put in a great deal of work. Most recently, board member Padilla Campos was gracious to come down to the ports and see the work we're doing to try and make zero emissions in the port complex a reality. So board member Padilla Campos, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate all of that. For my part, I look forward to working with Chair Cacciati, Vice Chair McAllen, and this entire board on the development of the CAP Plus measures. The CAP Plus measures will be an important tool in accomplishing the transition to zero emissions. It will be hard work, it will be expensive, and it will be time consuming. But we appreciate the opportunity to reach our zero emission goals collaboratively. Thank you, all of you, for making this possible, and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Joaquin Castillejos.
Good morning. My name is Joaquin Castillejos. I'm here with the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice, and also here as a member of the SoCal Clean Manufacturing Coalition. And I'm a resident of the Inland Valley region of SoCal, and I'm here today to also congratulate the newly appointed or the reappointed board members, Brenda Olmos and Veronica Padilla Campos, and looking forward to work with you in these next years as you sit on this board. As you know, has already been said, it's not an easy job, but you're here today and you're willing to give your time and work with our communities that desperately need the AQMD and to clean our air. And also I'm here to congratulate newly appointed Chair Caccioti and Vice Chair McCallan as a resident of the Inland Valley region, also known as the IE, and also as a resident of San Bernardino County. I'm excited that we have one of our own here as a vice chair, and looking forward to see how we could work together to improve the air and bring more you know health, continue to improve the public health of residents in the Inland Empire. But thank you all for all the work you do. It's exciting to start a new year, and we look forward to to work towards a clean air future and decarbonize and protect our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there comments online?
Looks like we have one hand raised. Thank you, Madam Chair. It's Marvin Norman. Marvin, welcome. Good to see your name. Go ahead. Marvin, go ahead. It's your turn.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so thank you for the moment to comment. And yeah, Happy New Year and congratulations to all those who are appointed or reelected. I'm not there today. As you see, I've stayed home while the other two are there. But I would one thing I noticed actually over the holiday season, my family, we stopped by our local like our little like Christmas thing. And one thing I noticed was it was great to have there, and it was it was at night, so it was great to have lights. And then it was at a park, and they had the lights running on diesel. So I don't know if you guys have um uh, programs that we could help the local agencies transition their lighting for those types of events to zero emission solutions, so we don't have to have diesel fumes spewing out by all the kids who are out there at those events. And even not just agencies, but also if there are opportunities for like just like the little fairs or whatever, because they all use a lot of diesel lights too. So I don't know what opportunities they are, but that's certainly a area that's sorely needed. Anyway, I'm sure I'll be there in person a couple times anytime soon, but thank you again.
Norman, thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes general public comments. That moves us to consent and board calendar items 1 through 16. Supervisor Hagman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make the motion, but I do have a conflict. I gotta say for agenda number 5, I do not have a financial interest, but I'm required to identify for the record I'm a regional council member for the Southern California Association of Governments, which is involved in the item. And with that, I'll move it as well.
Great. Mayor Pro Tem McCallum?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also for item number 5. I don't have any financial interest, but I am required to assert for the record that I am a regional council member for the Southern California Association of Governments and a member of the board of directors for the Southern California Regional Rail Authority, which are involved in this item.
Okay.
Chair, I just wanted to clarify that or ask the question whether Supervisor Hagman's motion included the additional
Your
language in
amendments, I'm
item
sorry.
3.
The amendments in item 3, correct. Sorry.
Okay, Supervisor Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have, for a couple conflicts, I have, for agenda item number 5, I do not have a financial interest, but I am required to identify for the record that I am a board member of the Orange County Transportation Authority, which is involved in this item. And then for item 19, I am recusing myself from agenda 19 because of a financial interest in the Kinder Morgan Inc., which is materially affected by this item. And I also want to make a comment on number 3. Do you want me to do it now or later?
Yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate, Madam Chair, your attention and the committee's attention to this item. I just wanted to, our board assistants, they don't just attend meetings that we are on the committee of, because in order for my assistants to help me looking at the full agenda, there are many committees. And so they go through all those committee meetings and also attend them, especially when it comes to an interest as well of an issue that involves, the County of Orange. And so, while I appreciate the new policy and the change, I really truly don't believe we went as far as we could to help these assistants, because it's not about the committee that I'm a member of. It's about them attending all the other committees to help me to be able to look at this entire agenda and not just a committee.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely, it's a tough one, but we'll hear that in a bit. Mayor Loch Dawson?
I just wanted to say for the record, for agenda item 5, I don't have a financial interest, but I want to identify for the record, I'm a regional council member for the Southern California Association of Governments, which is involved in this item. Thank you.
Supervisor Mitchell?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. For agenda item number 5, I do not have a financial interest, but I'm required to identify for the record that I am a member of the Metro Board, which is involved in this item.
Okay. Did anybody second the motion? Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make a brief comment about item 2. Okay. So just with respect to the input from the administrative committee and recommending to pause the LGSBA and EJAG groups to develop a policy group, I would just ask that staff would make a point to reach out to the elected officials that are a part of LGSBA. I know that's probably was already part of, it mentions encouraging stakeholder input. So certainly we'll be, I'm sure, transcending that group that I'm highlighting. But for those that have also had senior tenure on the LGSBA, from the small business perspective, I'd also encourage that they be proactively contacted just to solicit their input. I know I've received a number of calls from elected leaders that had some concerns, but I do believe that I'm optimistic that the outcome of this process and pausing will be a productive one. So again, thank you in advance for taking the time to solicit their input. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, we do, was there a second is what I was checking.
Second?
Okay. We do have public comment on this, so I'm going to go ahead and take that. James, Breitling? Sorry about that.
Good morning, Chair Delgado and members of the governing board. Happy New Year to you all. My name is James Breitling. I'm a city council member from the city of Upland, and I also have the privilege of serving on the local government and small business advisory assistance group. I wanted to begin by sincerely thanking the administrative committee for its leadership and for making the recommendation to reform and redesign the LGSBA rather than eliminate it. That decision reflects a clear understanding that strengthening governance is not about removing voices, but about making sure that right voices are structured in a way that helps the district succeed. I also want to especially urge the governing board to approve the agenda item. Preserving the group and directing reform is the right path forward for the district, for local governments, and for small businesses. For the shared goal of achieving meaningful emissions reductions, local government and small businesses are not peripheral stakeholders. In this process, we are implementation partners. Cities translate district policies into permits, infrastructure projects, fleet decisions, and enforcement on the ground. Small businesses are the operators who must comply with these rules and who often drive real-world adoption for cleaner technologies. When those perspectives are engaged early and effectively, regulations are clearer, compliance improves, and emission reductions happen faster. The Administrative Committee's recommendation recognizes an important reality that the mission of the LGSBA remains valid, even if the structure needs improvement. Reform allows the district to turn LGSBA into a more focused, efficient, and solutions-oriented working group, one that provides practical feedback early in the process, helps identify implementation challenges before they become problems, and support better communication with communities and businesses. So with that, I wanted to thank the committee members for their thoughtful recommendation, and I respectfully encourage the governing board to approve this item. This approach preserves an important partnership between the groups and the district, improves efficiency, and positions the LGSBA to better support the district's work moving forward. I look forward to working with the group, and hopefully coming, I believe it's this spring, we'll be working on reforming everything, and I hope to be a part of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. Okay. Do we have any comments online?
No comments online.
Okay, with that, let's take a vote on the motion for consent calendar. Okay, that's approved. That brings us to item 18, presentation on state and federal legislation recap.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. My name is Lisa Tanaka. I'm the Deputy Executive Officer for Legislative Public Affairs and Media. This morning, I'll be presenting a recap on our 2025 state and federal legislative work and share what we anticipate for 2026. I will note that there are some updates since these slides were developed. The legislation doesn't wait for anyone, and I'll note those changes as we proceed through the presentation. Next slide, please. Today, I'm going to be touching on 4 areas: the dynamics affecting legislation and actions, our strategy, key developments from this past year, and what we see ahead. Next slide. So the legislative environment. 2025 was an extremely challenging year. At the state level, we've seen significant turnover in our legislators and the staff, a continuing budget deficit, impacts from a rapidly changing federal dynamic, and major events such as wildfires, which demanded immediate policy action and funding. On the federal level, narrow majorities in Congress, shifting administrative actions, and ongoing litigations have created uncertainty. The intensity of the push and pull between state and federal politics has added to the challenges we face. In fact, just yesterday in Governor Newsom's State of the State, he mentioned that California had 52 lawsuits, which equated to about $168 billion in funding that was affected by the federal government's action. So a lot of dynamic there. And then across the board, state and federal economic pressures, election year dynamics are driving a great deal of activity. Sometimes these are resulting in bills and proposals that could affect our local authority with unintended consequences and create unfunded mandates, as well as threaten our existing funding. Next slide. So what have we done to optimize our legislative strategy? Given this environment, we've centered our strategy on really building relationships to ensure that South Coast AQMD remains and becomes a trusted resource and partner for our legislators, state and federal, and their staff and the committees. Key elements of this strategy are education and engagement. In 2025, we partnered with CAPCOA and our sister local agencies, as well as committee staff and legislators, to launch a new educational effort. We've developed a webinar series, which kicked off with an in-person briefing and advocacy day. And then later we held a focused webinar on AB 617 that was timed with budget negotiations. At the end of the year in 2025, in December, we also held a webinar about understanding California air districts. We recognize there is a big gap in understanding what we do and the science of air quality. We will continue these efforts, and we're working actively with legislative staff and the committees to understand what topics they want to hear from us about, and this is really critical. On presence and visibility, we've increased our presence in Sacramento, supported by a Capitol-based staff person who is teaming up with our consultants to be in the halls every single week. And we continue close coordination with CAPCOA, our sister agencies, and other external stakeholders. Last year, we held our first coffee and clean air event and advocacy day with Assemblymember Solache in Sacramento. And I'm really pleased to report that he wants to continue this. And we're working on a bigger and better event. We've secured a couple of dates to hold the West Capitol steps at the Capitol, and we'll have displays, and we're working through that right now. We're looking at spring or early summer, and we'll provide updates on that as that develops. And needless to say, Assemblymember Solache has been a strong advocate for South Coast AQMD and clean air, and we are deeply thankful to himself and his staff for all their work. On the federal level, we are working with our consultants, and we've been in close communication with our delegation through all of this incredible change that's happening in DC. We've been supporting their legislative work and committee offices with technical expertise, and that's been really important. Here at home, we're engaging with our district offices to strengthen ties, inviting their legislators, staff, and committees to come to tour our region and see what we're doing, boots on the ground here. And we're also building partnerships with legislators on air quality issues. And I'm going to go into more details about that through this presentation. Next slide, please. For sponsored legislation, in 2025, we sponsored 3 bills, and I wanted to note that 2025 was the first year of a 2-year session. So the first bill is AB 907 by Assemblymember Philip Chen, and this would provide compensation parity for Air District members serving on the CARB board. This is a 2-year bill. We got it out of the first House of Origin, and the author's office has reaffirmed their intent to work with us in 2026 to move it through the Senate. And we really appreciate Assemblymember Chen's continued support. And Assemblymember Solache is a principal co-author for this bill. The next bill, AB 1338 by Assemblymember Solache, would enable local air districts to recover costs associated with new fence line air monitoring requirements for metal shredding facilities. This bill also successfully moved out of the Assembly. It's in the Senate, and it's a 2-year bill, and we continue to work it. AB 1106 by Assemblymember Rodriguez. This bill would have enhanced CARB's and Air Incident Response Program and would have created local regional centers, including one here in South Coast AQMD. The bill was held in appropriations. It was a really tough budget year. However, Senator Ben Allen, who is a principal co-author, is very interested in this concept. We're engaging in discussions with his staff as well as CARB. And I really want to point this out, that this is an example of where that effort to build a relationship with Senator Allen, inviting him to come tour his district. We went to a special air monitoring location in Palisades, Burn area, spent time with him. Our technical staff were there, our compliance and enforcement staff were there, really talked through, answered all of his questions. We brought his staff back to the lab. I want to thank MAD. They spent hours with their staff to really make a point of how important air monitoring and our scientific technical expertise is. And I think that is what led to Senator Allen wanting to continue to work with us and really trying to find a path forward to try and make this bill happen. So fingers crossed, more to come on AB 1106 or the next version of it. Next slide, please. So priority state legislation. We were engaged on so many bills, and I don't want to go into depth on all of these. These are just a small example of what we worked on. And for here, I'm just going to focus on a few of them. AB 1266 by Assemblymember Jose Solache, that was related to requiring the 3 largest air districts to comply with the State Administrative Procedures Act. And the reason for this, the sponsor wanted to increase transparency through the rulemaking process. Assemblymember Solache created a space for us to meet with the bill sponsor, which was PMSA. We discussed it. We came to a non-legislative solution, and we were able to move forward in a positive direction. So I thought that was a really great success, and we appreciated working with PMSA and Assemblymember Salache on that bill. So that was a non-legislative solution. SB 34 by Senator Richardson would have set a really harmful precedent affecting South Coast AQMD's indirect source authority related to ports. This was a massive effort, and we coordinated with a broad range of stakeholders to whom we are extremely grateful to. And that included industry, environmental groups, community members, our sister air agencies, CAPCOA, and so many more. In the end, Governor Newsom did veto this bill, as South Coast AQMD's board was actively involved in the negotiations on the cooperative agreement, and he wanted to let the local level play out and work through our own issues. The next bill that I want to highlight is SB 526 by Senator Carolyn Menjivar. This is another example where we reached out and partnered directly with the legislator. Rather than moving forward her bill, Senator Menjivar chose to work with us to address the emissions from aggregate recycling and other facilities in Sun Valley. And thanks to the senator and our executive officer and all of our divisions here, we're working in a comprehensive effort to work, really address the community concerns and reduce air pollution in Sun Valley. Next slide, please. So budget and cap and trade. This was another really big issue. Ensuring stable funding is one of the most important responsibilities that the legislative team has, and 2025 was no exception. We were able to help secure with, again, Assemblymember Salache weighed in so heavily on the budget, and we were able to secure $100 million. Now, that is less than what the program normally receives, but in this really difficult budget time, $100 million to keep the program moving forward was such a blessing, and we are appreciative of that effort. At the same time, we are able to work with the Assembly member, Senator Reyes, Assemblymember Salache, Senator Reyes, the legislative leadership, committee staff, and other stakeholders that we appreciate so much to secure an ongoing allocation from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund for AB 617, and that's $250 million annually. It is dependent on the results of each cap and trade auction. However, getting our foot in the door to have that continuous appropriation is so critical when we're at the table on all these negotiations. Next slide, please. So looking ahead for 2026 and bills of interest, we know that originally the State Legislative Analyst's Office projected an $18 billion shortfall. And the last cap and trade auction in November, which everyone hoped would be stronger because of the reauthorization of cap and trade, fell a little short. It was about $150 million less than the previous November. So we do have concerns about budget, but then yesterday we heard from Governor Newsom in the state of the state that he's proposing a $248 billion budget, and the Department of Finance is calculating or estimating a 42.3 increase in expected revenues. So as we speak right now, I think we're at 10, the governor's budget was supposed to come out, and we're really looking forward to digging through all those details to see where the funding lies and what we might expect for South Coast AQMD and air quality. So we'll be providing more updates on that. Next slide, please. So issues that we are really actively tracking on the state level, and again, these are just a few, but to highlight for you, 617 continues to be a top priority. We want to make sure that we receive the funding that we've worked so hard to secure, and also to work on any policy issues that might come up. At the end of the last legislative session, Senator Reyes successfully passed SB 352, which made some changes to the program. It increased reporting and to the legislature. It extended air monitoring by allowing air monitoring to continue for additional 5-year increments. And it also codified the environmental justice unit within the state attorney general's office. But there is more work to be done, and we want to do that in coordination with all the stakeholders, not at the end of the session when everyone's rushed and not everyone can be in the room, but in a very open way. So originally, we had heard that there would be more of an effort in 2026. We know that the CARB Chair, Lauren Sanchez, will be testifying, as she always does every year on the CARB's budget, and 617 will come up. But it sounds like the legislative work may come in a little bit slower pace. We're still kind of hearing what's happening, but we are right on the pulse of that. And again, this is something that Assemblymember Salachi and Senator Reyes have really been moving forward, and we'll continue to work with them. AB 914, that is a bill by Robert Garcia from San Bernardino, and it would have required CARB to adopt an indirect source rules and work with the local agencies. We're hearing that bill, it's still in the assembly, so it's going to take some effort to get it out of the assembly, and I think they have to do it by January 18th. So we're paying close attention to that. And then other legislation that you might have heard about is there is CEQA exemptions done in the budget bill that lots of folks are looking at. And then we're hearing from trades that potentially they might do something on non-automation or ensuring that any zero emissions equipment requires human operation. So those are some of the trends that we're looking at in the coming year. Next slide, please. So I'm going to kind of switch gears here and go to the federal side. Next slide. And you heard so appropriately this morning about Invest Clean, so I just want to highlight it really strongly here. Our main focus has been on protecting our Invest Clean grant funded by the US EPA. It was funded through a program called the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, and it's nearly, it was a nearly $500 million grant. It is the largest in the nation. And so we've been really focused on this effort. And on the right side of the slide, you'll see a whole list of legislation. And we are really happy to say that we successfully survived each of these separate actions that potentially could have impacted our funding. So through reconciliation, through one big beautiful bill, rescissions and appropriations, there's always opportunities to make a grab. We're working closely with TAO and all of the divisions, legal and finance and everyone to work closely with EPA to make this grant happen. Next slide, please. On appropriations for 2026, these are still going. These technically should have been done by September 30th of 2025, but we find ourselves in a continuing resolution. I am very happy to report an update here. Yesterday, the House passed another minibus. So a minibus is like they take a few appropriations bills and they kind of sandwich them together. That included funding for the US EPA. And despite all of the cuts to US EPA and so many of the federal agencies, the three main accounts that South Coast AQMD really tracks and advocates for, targeted airshed grants, that remained almost level from 2025. So the House bill includes 68.8 million. Section 103, 105, which we use for our rules, for our outreach, for so many of monitoring, so many of our bread and butter activities, that is level at about 232 million. And the Diesel Emissions Reduction Act program, which takes swaps out diesel equipment and vehicles for clean ones, is at 90 million, which is exactly level. That is a massive achievement, I think, and we really have to thank Congressman Calvert and Aguilar and Torres and so many of our other California delegation members who really have gone to bat for us on those accounts. Next slide. And I'll just note that the Senate is expected to vote on this minibus, which includes EPA, early next week. So fingers crossed. And then after that, there are 6 bills left to finish, most of which don't have a direct impact on South Coast AQMD transportation, but not as direct as EPA's. Another issue that we're preparing for on the federal level is the reauthorization of the surface transportation bill. Sorry, tongue twister there. The current bill that Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act is expected to expire on September 30th. So in theory, Congress is supposed to pass a new reauthorization bill before September 30th. And Chairman Graves is also expected to retire. So there's a lot of pressure to try and get this bill done, but there's a lot of dynamics and a very short congressional calendar in 2026. That all to say, here for South Coast, our staff have been meeting with our county transportation commissions and other partners to understand their priorities so that we can work together to support South Coast region and California in this fight for funding for transportation. Our focus is going to be squarely on transportation related to goods movement and other programs that achieve air quality emissions reductions. Next slide, please. The Clean Air Act, that's like that big elephant in the room. It is such a challenge with the Clean Air Act. It's so controversial. The House is working to advance several bills related to the Clean Air Act. They really focus a lot on rolling back emission standards, energy efficiency types of programs. In fact, the House was voting on two. One was called, I think, Shave Our Shower Heads to repeal standards for water efficiency for shower heads, and another on energy efficiency for manufactured homes. The challenge is that even if a bill gets out of the House, in the Senate, there is a 60-vote threshold that they're supposed to meet. And that is a very difficult thing to do in this divided Congress. And so the Clean Air Act, we are tracking it very closely. We've been meeting with committee staff. And we'll continue to provide updates there. I do want to point out, though, that congressional actions and the administration's pressure caused Congress to repeal the California waivers, which does affect statewide emissions reductions. And that has an impact on South Coast AQMD and how we try to meet our attainment goals. Next slide. So for 2026, again, the update here is hopefully we're very close to getting a deal on FY26 appropriations for the accounts that we follow. FY27, in theory, will begin in February is when many offices start to ask for our requests. And then surface transportation reauthorization, we're expecting bill text to come out, hopefully from the committee early this year. And then Clean Air Act, we just are continuing to be vigilant on that every single day. Next slide. So the path forward. 2026 is going to require strong engagement on all levels, and we'll continue to turn the challenges into opportunities by implementing the sort of multi-level educational and engagement strategy. We want to increase our presence in Sacramento and judiciously in DC, and we will partner and work with broad stakeholder groups. Our goal is to protect our local authority and funding while building trust in the science and the practice of what we do for air quality. Next slide. So now I'm happy to answer any questions, and we happen to have all of our consulting firms online if you have any questions, both state and federal. And with that, I'll conclude.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive overview. And this was on our agenda last meeting, but we wanted to make sure we had a full board to listen to it. So with that, I'll take board member comments. Supervisor Mitchell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just let me acknowledge the comprehensive nature of your presentation. I really appreciated it. Two questions. First, with regard to the numerous federal changes. Is it premature for me to ask what we think the implications for our AQMP will be, given all of the changes we know thus far, what you think may be on the horizon? Particularly curious about, what we've lost with regard to our efforts to reduce our emissions.
Maybe I can at least jump in on this one and let Dr. Reese explain fully. But the answer to the question is yes, there are impacts They've affected CARB and they'll affect us. Dr. Reese is working very closely with CARB and can talk about what it is that we're actually doing to figure out the full extent of those impacts and what we can do about them. Dr. Reese?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. So yeah, there are a lot of emission reductions that are associated with requirements that are now being rolled back as a result of the loss of the waivers. We were relying on those emission reductions in our plans, showing how we were going to be able to attain the standards. We are coordinating with CARB and San Joaquin Valley right now because San Joaquin Valley is also in a similar situation. But there's a fairly substantial gap in our planning requirements now as a result. But the three agencies are working together, also coordinating with EPA to see what we can do to make this up.
And so we'll get updates on that periodically as you make progress with that coordination.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Second question, really appreciate your proactive lead strategy for Sacramento. Clearly that is going to have to continue. And I just have to say that I was struck by the significant support in the legislature of a bill that would have, in effect, if it had become law, tied our hands as a regulator. I mean, it literally got one no vote in the entire legislature. And so given that, I mean, that was a core element to what we do. I appreciate the budget advocacy and all of that. What are your thoughts in terms of enhancing our education and work in the legislature so people truly understand what we do and I hope value it enough to not try to tie our hands again in the future?
Supervisor Mitchell, you're exactly right. And that is why we've embarked on this educational strategy so that we really can make sure that offices understand what our air district has jurisdiction over and how important our authority is to address those emissions. There is a clear gap there in understanding. And so we're tackling it in the big picture by doing these larger webinars. We're doing these, we're going to do that demonstration day in Sacramento, but also meeting directly with capital offices and also their district offices, because the district offices are where they're experiencing the air quality issues. And so making that tie with their districts and the capital has been a really great tool for us. And so we're really building upon that so that we don't have folks thinking like, oh, this isn't a big deal, but it really is so important. So yes, we hear you on that. And
I appreciate that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I could just also add, Supervisor, one of the key things is that I'd like to make sure this year that we do more outreach with you, with board members that have experience in Sacramento, members such as Supervisor Hagman, Supervisor Perez, people that have been legislative members that can actually share their expertise, Supervisor Wynn, that have the experience and can help bridge the understanding. I think part of the challenge that we saw this past year was there was tremendous animosity toward CARB in the legislature. And that also reflected on us. And I think there's this perception that it's a government bureaucracy, they're asking too much, they don't care about affordability, and we're just going to stop them. And so I think it was critically important, as Lisa described, all of the things that we did, but we recognize that we can do more. And we want to do more with each and every one of you that can help us do that. So hopefully we'll be able to do that in the coming year.
I appreciate that. And I think that we also should have our eyes wide open. It's sometimes not just an issue of a lack of understanding. Sometimes it's an issue of competing interests. And so we should be clear about that as well. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Mayor Lock-Dawson.
Thank you. Fabulous. Lisa, I think you've done a really good job, and I think it's important, the whole relationship building aspect. I forgot to mention at the beginning in my board member comments that as I am up for Senate confirmation on the CARB board on February 4th, that will be my second. I've already had my first interview with Senate Rules, and then I will be up against Senate Rules Committee for the for the second, and then it'll go to the full floor after that. But the reason I mentioned that, well, one is I'd love your support because they're asking for letters of support and to reach out to Senate Rules Committee. But secondly, I was struck by the questions that I was receiving from Senate Rules staff. And Wayne, you hit the nail on the head. There is so much animosity towards CARB right now, but on both sides. It was from both the Republicans and the Dems. Nobody can do anything right. The Dems see it as not being progressive enough. Republicans are seeing it as too overreaching and, as you said, tone deaf to costs and impact to consumers. So as the AQMD representative, that's something I want to be keenly aware of and trying to use our staff to try to kind of mitigate some of those concerns. But just to bring it up to you quickly, the things that are coming up in my confirmation that you may be interested in, or AB 617 seems to be a big one that they're very interested in and concerned about. Fire, regulating fire, I guess it's
Current days.
yeah, and also just wildfire mitigation and how do we incorporate that into air quality management plans? That was a big one. And also, surprise, surprise, Wayne, relationships with the air quality districts and how we're working together. I was surprised to hear we are not alone in the fact that CARB and the air quality management districts don't always, I'll put that diplomatically, always agree or work well together. So to me, that's a high priority. I want to fix that if I can. So anyway, but those are some of the things that just came up. So, and despite the federal government's rollback of the waivers, CARB is all in on Advanced Clean Cars 3. We're moving forward with that. And you'll laugh about this one. CARB is also going to take up building decarbonization, electrification, and appliance, gas appliance, some of the same stuff we talked about recently with 1111, 1121. So despite what's going on in the federal government. So I think we'll still see in California, at least, a lot of same old. We'll still be moving forward with some of the mandates that we have. So anyway, thank you.
Mayor, if I could just add, staff would be very happy to work with you in answering or developing answers to the questions. We've done that in past Senate appointees and governor appointees that have to go and get confirmed before the Senate. So if you share the questions, we'll be happy to provide you with answers and support. And then with regards to CARB, we are working very proactively. Later this month, we'll be having a priorities meeting between CARB senior staff and our senior staff. I think the challenge that I see is that as CARB's ability to really go after mobile sources is diminished, that there is perhaps a view to see, well, what's going on within the state that normally falls to the districts. And so making sure that we don't bump into one another as we move forward is critical. So outlining those priorities as we move forward and making sure that we're coordinated as we all progress is key for us.
I'd appreciate that, and I would love your help with it. It's coming up pretty quickly, so I'll touch base with you, Wayne. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Mitchell, did you want to say something more?
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. I just wasn't sure if it was an old one or not.
It was old, but I didn't cover something, but now that you called my name,
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
go for it.
The House clerk has made it public that the official name of the bill is HR 1. So I would just encourage us in all of our future presentations that we simply refer to it as HR 1. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Bettis.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and appreciate the fact that our mayor, Locke Dawson, will be moving towards CARB, God willing, and I don't see no reason why not. I think you'd be an excellent individual choice for you to be on that board. Now, I do have my thoughts as to why folks are not happy with CARB. I think that's what I appreciate about AQMD, quite frankly. I see AQMD as an entity that's willing to listen to both sides. And if something doesn't seem to be, and it also is a reflection of the leadership on this dais, and in this case by our chairwoman. Whether someone might be left out on the left or someone might be left out on the right, we take the time to sometimes hold off, continue an item, to make sure that we try to get it as right as possible. That we get it on point to the extent that we can. We don't make the decision right then and there because we know we can. I see it very differently with CARB. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I once did sit on CARB, and there's a reason why I left. Because I felt it was too much one-sided. Too much one-sided where, quite frankly, many times, although we have to obviously take care of ensuring air quality issues and ensuring that we deal with greenhouse gas emissions, so on and so forth, climate change. At the same time, though, we also have to think about issues dealing with poverty, meaning economic development and opportunity for individuals that perhaps did not have that in the past. And so many times, the business community is not heard. And it's very difficult to get people that are working daily, struggling, put food on the table to actually fly up to Sacramento for a meeting in which, at the end of the day, who knows if they'll be heard or not. And I think that's part of the struggle that you will see, or you have not seen maybe yet, or you will see eventually, as I did. And as a result of all that, those efforts, having conversations back home, and staff knows about this, I just wanted to ask a couple of things here. People keep bringing up the AB 617 committees, communities, and folks would like to see some sort of expansion of these in different communities. I'd like to see that. However, I also know that our hands are tied behind our back. And I think that we need to, in our outreach efforts, explain why it is that we can, or explain why it is that we are, because some people feel like they're being left out. And I think that's critical. And we heard that in the Dust Summit, and we continuously hear that in different communities that believe that they should be part of a 617 community. So I think that that's something that we need to somehow try to think through. If there is funding for it at all, what are we going to do with that funding? Are we going to use it for the 617 communities that currently exist, which I think we should, or are we going to use it to expand, which potentially it might not be the right time for it. Who knows? But at the end of the day, though, regardless of whichever decision we make, I think that it's important that we explain and we define and we do the outreach. Now, when it comes to more funding and potentially coming to AQMD, I do wonder about how often are we or not doing respiratory illnesses type of studies or contracting out so that entities can do those for us, specifically in those AB 617 communities or the surrounding areas, maybe at a region-wide scale. What does that look like? And the reason why I bring that up once again, as I did early on, is because there's a lot of hearsay. Well, that's not what I heard from my doctor, or, this is not what I heard from this hospital, or this other hospital says this, or this. And then when you actually do the outreach to go talk to a doctor or to the hospital, there's no data or you can't find who the doctor was. So let's really get down to the bottom of that, if it's at all possible, to find out as far as dust is concerned, in my opinion, how much of that is actually causing illnesses when it comes to our respiratory system. Now, goods movement. And obviously, there seems to be some funding moving in that direction. How will we ensure that that funding is equitably distributed? There are certain regions that are struggling more than others. There are certain regions in which there seems to be quite a bit of a push for more warehouses, and yet at the same time, quite a bit of a push against them. And they seem to be moving not only in an inland empire, but moving in my direction, which it's bound to happen eventually. So how do we figure out what that formula looks like? You know, and maybe you have an answer for that now, or maybe you have to take that and think it through, which is fine. But at the end of the day, how do we ensure that ultimately there is some sort of formula that's somewhat balanced, or as balanced as it can be, so that there is not necessarily an equal amount of funding, but an equitable amount of funding distributed throughout our communities. And the other effort, I just want to thank you for bringing this up, is the outreach to our communities. There are a lot of people that are confused about what we do all the time. We get blamed for everything when it comes to air quality issues, when potentially it could be a special district like a water district, believe it or not, or a utility, or something else altogether. Or it could mean that the state of California needs to play a larger role, like CARB, and should be at the table, or EPA, or the federal EPA. But once again, all of a sudden, at least what people, when they hear Air Quality Management District, people automatically assume that we are in charge of making sure that ultimately we provide clean air. And we do, obviously, as a regulatory agency to a certain level. But all these other entities as well play a role, and we can't do it alone. So the outreach, I think, is important to educate people about what exactly we do, and at the same time, formulate those stronger collaborations with these entities to move us forward. So those are just a few points I wanted to bring up, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Lisa, just I'll focus on one item and kind of the subject or topic that Supervisor Mitchell brought up about competing interests. When you had the slide about the greenhouse gas reduction fund, and it was like 100 million or more lower, what was the total amount we received this year, Gigi, in that fund? Under $1 billion, I believe it was, right? Like 900 million or something, or?
So that slide was specifically for AB 617.
Right.
And so it's 100 million for the this upcoming year.
Right.
And then in future, it'll be 250 million annually if dependent upon the auction.
Auction, okay.
Mhm.
The reason I bring it up is just as she talked about competing interests, we had a presentation, I'm not sure the other council members, mayors from other cities did, from some of the water agencies a couple of days ago at the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments Environmental Committee on trying to ask for $150 million from that fund every year for the next 15 years to deal with a conveyance problem with the California aqueduct, the water coming down because of the subsidence issues in the Central Valley. There's like $3 billion in immediate repairs that need to be done. Otherwise, they're going to cut our water from the Northern California. So I know there's competing interests pushing. So I wasn't sure if you're aware of this or how we navigate that. But there's a big push for support to take a lot of those funds for long term to deal with the conveyance of the California aqueduct, which is sinking in the Central Valley.
If I could just add, Vice Chair, there's a number of considerations, but to your point about the funding from GGRF and the competing interests, the 100 million I think, is less than 10% of the overall funds that were generated by the auction. And that 100 million is statewide. It's not just for us. And of that 100 million, we get the lion's share. And that 100 million, and as I recall, is for implementation this year because we still have leftover funds for incentives. So that's going to all the districts. The 250 million that we talked about in terms of funding that is secured, I think, till 2045. Is that right? That too is statewide, and that's the overall number used for both implementation and incentive funding. And again, we get a percentage of that. But every year, the legislature and the governor's office are battling for shares of the GGRF fund. And depending on the auction, there may or may not be. And the governor has, made priority for CAL FIRE, has made priority for high-speed rail. They automatically get their cut. And so anything that's left over, then that's what the fight really begins about. So it's always a fight, whether it's for infrastructure, whether it's for water. We and all the other air districts, CAPCOA, are constantly saying, these proceeds are meant to benefit air quality and improve public health. So we're always battling that. So our position may sometimes not necessarily align with some other entity that wants water infrastructure. They have gotten water infrastructure funding in the past, but I just sort of wanted you to know that the auction proceeds have been declining of late. And so there's even concern that the 250 million that we have secured could be at risk if the auction proceeds aren't high enough.
That was my concern, just to make you aware there's many interests, but this is the most recent I've seen. And they may be coming to cities and counties near you. Thanks.
Okay, I don't see any other board members looking to speak on that. I don't have any requests to speak here, and I don't think there's anything online.
Nope, nothing online.
Okay. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Okay, we have 3 public hearings today. Michael's gonna help us jump into number 19. And Supervisor, is this one your okay.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Earlier, I mentioned this item in the consent. I meant it for this item. It's number 19. Again, just recusing myself because of a financial interest in Kinder Morgan, Inc., which is materially affected by this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Happy New Year, Chair Delgado and board members. Next slide, please. So Rule 463 regulates VOC emissions from storage tanks. These storage tanks can be at marine terminals, chemical plants, oil and gas facilities. There are 2 types of tanks that are regulated by this rule. There are very large tanks like the ones in the picture where they are many millions of gallons, up to 20 million gallons for some of the larger marine terminals. And if you recall, a year and a half ago, we amended that rule to include optical gas imaging for those tanks. We had some stringent requirements like doming and seals, as well as some other things that we implemented as part of that rule amendment. Next slide, please. But we didn't evaluate the smaller tanks, and so this amendment is to look at those smaller tanks. Those types of tanks are less than 20,000 gallons. They're typically at police stations, fire departments, golf courses, parks. They're used for gasoline dispensing, for fleet vehicles, for golf carts, for lawn care equipment. And if you were to add up all of these tanks, these 900 tanks that we're talking about, they wouldn't even be one of those larger tanks that we looked at last time. Next slide, please. So the amendments that we're proposing for these smaller tanks is to clarify that the optical gas imaging doesn't apply to these. We did look at the cost effectiveness because there's such small emissions associated with these tanks. It isn't cost effective to do optical gas imaging, particularly because they already do vapor tightness testing periodically. We looked at the controls that would be appropriate for these types of tanks. They are, as I mentioned, they're usually for fuel dispensing, and they all include phase one vapor recovery already, which is what happens at a typical gas station. So we think that that's appropriate for these types of tanks as well. And there's some other minor changes to the rule for clarity. Next slide, please. So we don't expect any socioeconomic impacts. There's no costs associated with this rule. There are no significant environmental impacts as well. So we are proposing to have a notice of exemption, and that's been prepared. Next slide, please. As you imagine, there aren't any key issues associated with this rule, and so staff is recommending that you determine that the rule is exempt from CEQA, that you amend Rule 463, and then you direct us to send this to EPA to include in the state implementation plan. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions.
Vice Chair, do you want?
No.
Oh, it's a cancel. Got it. Okay. Any questions, board members?
So move, Madam Chair, if there aren't any questions.
Second.
Okay. I like it. I'll open the public hearing just to see if anybody's excited to speak on this item. I don't see anyone coming up.
Nothing online, Madam Chair.
That's not that, the work is not exciting, Michael. I don't want to take away from that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
just didn't want to have that out there, but, okay, there's a motion and a second. Let's vote on that. Oh, I closed I'm closing the public hearing. Okay, that item passes. Thank you. Heather is going to lead us through the next public hearing.
Good morning and Happy New Year, Chair Delgado, members of the board. I'm here to present amendments to Rule 1111, the rule that reduces NOx emissions for gas furnaces. Next slide, please. So this rule was adopted in 1978, and at that time established 40 nanogram per joule NOx limits for gas furnaces. The rule was amended in 2009 to establish 14 nanogram per joule limits. We call those ultra low NOx limits. There was also included a mitigation fee compliance option where manufacturers were able to pay a mitigation fee and continue to sell those 40 nanogram per joule furnaces. Those have all sunset. So now all furnaces other than mobile home furnaces now do meet those ultra low NOx limits. We do have a mitigation fee option for mobile homes, but that did sunset this past September. Next slide, please. So we are proposing to amend the rule to extend that mitigation fee option to allow the manufacturers additional time to develop those technologies to meet those ultra low NOx limits. That mitigation fee option allows them to sell those 40 nanogram joules units while they work to develop those lower NOx units. We want to extend that for 5 years to allow more time. Then they will be able to pay that mitigation fee while still selling those higher NOx units, and those fees will go into our Go Zero incentive program. Next slide, please. We do have a key issue. We have a stakeholder who has requested for us to remove that ultra low NOx limit and the compliance fee mitigation option. However, that limit has been on the books. It's been in the rule since 2009. They've had the alternative option since 2018. So if we removed that, that would be considered backsliding. We do need all feasible NOx emission reductions. Therefore, we do not recommend removing that ultra low NOx limit because that would result in permanent loss of those emission reductions. Next slide, please. So when it comes to the impacts, we will have a temporary delay in those NOx emission reductions. However, that is below the CEQA threshold. So this is not considered to have significant impacts. So a notice of exemption is being prepared. In addition, for the socioeconomic assessment, since there are not any significant impacts and there's no changes to emission limits, there's no required socioeconomic analysis. Next slide, please. So staff recommendations, we do recommend to adopt the resolution determining that the rule amendment is exempt from the requirements of CEQA, to amend the rule, and to direct staff to submit the amended rule into the state implementation plan. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thank you, Heather. Board members, Supervisor Nguyen, is this?
Yeah, this
Yes.
item,
Mhm,
please.
For number 20. Uh-huh.
I have a question. So even if the mobile home manufacturer, or they don't have the technology today, right?
They do not currently have units
do
that
not.
meet the ultra-low NOx limit.
So I guess that's kind of where, it's not like they, even if they want to, they can't. And so the mitigation fee, my concern is that the mitigation fee will ultimately, yes, the manufacturer pays for it, but then really it's going to turn around and force it on the mobile home owners who are buying these homes. And so have we considered looking at, not having the fee since it's not the manufacturing's fault, because there isn't a technology today. It's not like they have the technology and choose not to do it. It's that there isn't one. And so would a mitigation fee of something that doesn't exist would ultimately impact actually it's the consumer who's buying the mobile home units.
Yeah, if I may, that's a great question. The technology actually does exist. The issue is that the manufacturers have expressed that they're not wanting to develop a unit for this niche market because it's so small. Because it's just not that many furnaces that they sell for mobile homes in our area. But so the technology is there. There's also heat pump technology available, and we are seeing uptake of that with our Go Zero program, where about 90 mobile homes have already applied for assistance to transition to heat pump. And we believe as heat pump costs continue to go down, that actually will be the better solution for mobile homes, because heat pumps have a smaller footprint, which is actually an issue with a lot of the mobile homes. They take up a lot less space. So that's how we ultimately see this transitioning. But there is technology today. It's just the manufacturers are not making that investment because this is such a niche market.
So if it's such a niche market, then do we see them making that investment 5 years from now, or we're still going to be back to where we are?
I believe in 5 years from now, there'll probably be a transition towards heat pump technology because it's a more efficient, it's cheaper in the long haul, and there's smaller units and space is a premium at mobile homes.
And how, and then in terms of your outreach, how are we outreaching to the mobile home owners if they're transitioning? I mean, how are we, because I've got a lot of mobile home parks in my district. And so, a lot of them are actually seniors and very low income families. And so I want to make sure that they get the information as well.
Yes, and we've done several site visits out to the different mobile homes throughout our region. We do a lot of outreach for the Go Zero to get that information out, that those incentive funding is available to transition to those heat pump technologies. So we have done outreach specific to the mobile homes.
Can you not today, but maybe let me know which one where you reach out in Orange County, and if maybe also if it's not maybe we can add a few of those to your list going forward.
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you.
Board Member Padilla Campos.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I was just curious because I think you mentioned that there's one constituent that made a request or an edit or amendment to this. What is the impact on them that they're requesting this? Do you know?
They're a trade group that represents the manufacturers of the furnaces.
Oh, it's not an individual constituent homeowner. It's a trade group. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other board member questions or comments or motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Mayor Rodriguez?
They beat me to the.
Okay, the motion. Okay. It's been moved in second. I'll open the public hearing. Anybody who wishes to speak on this item, if you could please come up. You do not need to sign up for this item. I don't see anybody here, and we'll go to the online.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's two people online. We'll start with Bob. Bob, go ahead, please.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bob Helbing, past president, Institute of Heating and Air Conditioning Industries. My only comment is I'm not sure the manufacturers can develop a compliant product. Mobile home furnaces tend to have a different footprint than standard furnaces. They tend to be quite a bit narrower. They also are downflow design. They put air through the base of the furnace to feed ductwork underneath the mobile home. The standard design in California is either upflow or horizontal. So that's a very tiny market. And the smaller footprint makes it harder for them to put the premix burner technology in that cabinet. So I don't think any manufacturer really has any intention of coming out with a gas furnace that will meet this requirement. They've struggled enough with standard designs for single family homes. And this is a real engineering challenge I don't see any of them embracing. With regards to the heat pump alternative, the challenge with mobile homes has always been the nature of how electricity is distributed within a mobile home park. Typically, the electrical service for mobile homes is far smaller than it is for single family dwellings. And it's very common to find a mobile home that doesn't have the service size to provide the electricity that a heat pump needs to heat these units. So for most homes, mobile homes in the district, neither a future gas-fired model will be available from manufacturers, nor will heat pumps be an available alternative. So the previous panel members' concern that this will result in an undue burden on low and moderate income residents of mobile home parks is valid. There just won't be an available alternative that meets the needs of these people anytime in the foreseeable future. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Bob. Next speaker and final speaker is Dr. David Stevens. Welcome and go ahead, please. Dr. Stevens, you're muted. Dr. Stevens, you're still muted. If you can hear me, please unmute. There you go. Go ahead, Dr. Stevens. We're going to have to move on in a moment. Final speaker is Dr. David Stevens. We're ready for you, Dr. Stevens.
Okay, I don't see any other speakers, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Mayor Rodriguez?
Thank you. I appreciate the staff report, and I just would echo the sentiments of support that I'm hearing as to the need for this item to move forward and support staff's recommendations. Just from the standpoint as we're speaking, there are families that are waiting for mobile home orders to move forward. They're unable to move forward with those orders because of this furnace issue. That's families that, as we speak, are potentially displaced. And we know, just watching a news report recently, I was seeing on KTLA News how some families that were displaced from the fires are living in mobile homes. These are safe havens of those that are the most economically challenged in some cases. I know personally, my mother, God rest her soul, when she in her final days, she was living in a mobile home as well, so on a fixed income. So I think there's many families that are looking to have this affordability option from a city perspective, whether it's Yorba Linda or any other city. These type of housing options do work towards the RENA requirements and state allocation that we receive on RENA fronts as well. So being able to have this staff recommendation move forward would be helpful on all those fronts, affordability and otherwise. Thank you for your consideration on that, and I'll be voting in support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we can vote on this item. It's been moved. Second. So right, there's a motion, a second. So let's go ahead and vote. Okay, that passes. Thank you. And we have one final hearing, Michael Kraus.
Good morning and Happy New Year as well. My name is Mike Kraus. I'm Assistant Deputy in Planning and Rules. I'll be presenting to you our proposed amendments to our Rule 1118. This is the rule that regulates the emissions coming from refinery flares. Next slide, please. This rule was originally adopted by this board 28 years ago. It was recently amended back in 2024. In that recent amendment, and by the way, the rule regulates emissions, of course, from refinery flares, and we try all different ways of doing that within the rule. And one of those elements that we have in the rule is to require those facilities to notify the public as well as ourselves when they do have a flaring event. We've created actually a website, an online website that the facilities go into. There's a map of all of the 31 flares in the LA County area, and they identify when a flaring event starts, when it ends, what's the reason for that, et cetera. In the recent amendments, however, if you recall, we added a new notification. This has to deal with when there's a cumulative gas flow going on a given day. And so that was a new requirement that we put in there. And so I just wanted to highlight that. Next slide, please. Just as a way of reminder again, 31 flares in the LA County. These flares are located at 8 of our major petroleum refinery locations, as well as 4 hydrogen plants, as well as a sulfur recovery plant. So just wanted to show you that and remind you of that. Next slide, please. Within the rule, however, we do allow that if our FENS system, the online system, happens to be down and the facility needs to notify us, they can contact us through our 1-800-CUT-SMOG. Unfortunately, we overlooked the minor little addition of saying with the new notification, however, you could also do the same thing. And so we kind of overlooked that. So we're just coming back to you here today just to make that correction, to allow those facilities, when the cumulative gas flow is occurring on that given day, crosses the threshold, to notify us, and our fence system is down, we've got an ability for them to contact us legally through the 1-800-CUT-SMOG and to comply with the rule. Next slide, please. And it's important, by the way, when our fence system is down, just so you guys know, that when that does happen and they contact us, when the system goes back up, our staff goes into that system and updates the online system. So that's why we need to have that information. So both ourselves and the public are properly notified and can identify that in the system. The second thing we noticed, however, as we're looking at the rule, is you may have seen the draft versions of any of our rules. Whenever we have effective dates, we tend to write it in a way that says something like 6 months from the date of adoption, right? You've seen that. So what we do after the rule, if the rule gets passed, what we do afterwards, we actually put the real date, like an October 1st date or whatever it might be, into the rule before we release that then again to the public. Unfortunately, we overlooked one of those again in this rule, so we were going to ahead and correct that. So there's a placeholder there. We're actually going to put the date in there. It doesn't change the timeline. It doesn't change the requirement legally. So all of that still holds, but it just cleans it up and makes it consistent with our other rule formatting. Next slide, please. When it comes to impacts, of course, there's no cost involved in any of this. There's no physical modifications making change that's already existing. So we're not aware of any sort of key remaining issues left on this topic. Next slide, please. So we're asking you to determine that this particular amendments to our rule are exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act and to amend the rule.
Thank you.
You bet.
Board members, questions, comments? It's been moved.
Second.
And a second. All right. Now let's open the public hearing. Anybody who'd like to speak on this item can come up. Okay, I don't see anybody here live.
No one online?
No one online. With that, I'll close the public hearing and let's vote. All right, record timing. Thank you. Okay, with that, that adjourns, that completes the meeting and we have closed session.
That's correct. Thank you, Chair. It is necessary for the board to recess to close session pursuant to Government Code Sections 54956.9 sub A and 54956.9 sub B sub 1 to confer with its counsel regarding pending litigation which has been initiated formally and to which the South Coast AQMD is a party. The actions are Renai America Corp. Et al. V. South Coast Air Quality Management District, United States Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit case number 25-5129, appealing U.S. District Court, Central District of California, case number 224-CV-10482. Center for Biological Diversity versus South Coast Air Quality Management District, Governing Board of the South Coast Air Quality Management District et al., Los Angeles Superior Court number 25 STCP 04685, challenge to the port's cooperative agreement. A report of any reportable actions taken in closed section will be provided to the clerk of the board. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.